Hello. Okay, so as promised, it's 2:30, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my 35 on 35. So I have my cheat sheet and some of the things I'm going to read to you. So here we go. Let's start with super basic questions. You're going to see me go back and forth because I'm talking to Instagram and Facebook. But the start date is going to be April 19th. I decided to pick a Thursday because it's so cliche to say, I'm going to do that on Monday. So basically everybody spends the entire weekend stuffing their face with God knows what. And then come Monday, you already are starting off like just with a terrible foundation. So I picked a Thursday because nobody starts anything on a Thursday randomly. We're going to go for 35 days, and the end date is going to be May 23rd. So basically, you're going for 5 weeks. As you saw in the previous email, your investment for the 35 days is $6.71-ish a day. So it's $235, and I'll kind of break down what the $235 encompasses and what it entails. But every single one of you can afford to invest $6.71 into your health. Because I'm not even sure if you can go get a proper cup of coffee. If you tell me you're going to 7-Eleven or Starbucks, we're going to stop being friends. But if you drink coffee like we do, that's about 1 cup. So here we go. The entire point of my 35 on 35, I'm literally going to verbatim read what I wrote about this. So 35 on 35 focuses on one thing and one thing only, and that's you. Yes, it's my birthday. Yes, I have a health goal. Yes, I take on a certain body challenge every 90 days, but this is all about you. It's about your goals and your health. And look, in 35 days, we're not just going to magically be like, done, I'm never going to have to work on my health or my body again. Absolutely not. This is a starting point. This is something that you can do to basically put yourself at a really good place for the summer. The summer can either be really good for you or really bad for you. Some people start to work on their summer bodies like July 1st and think that that's going to make a difference. So I'm here to kind of help kickstart all of that because I like swimming and I like pool parties, but that also might entail some iffy foods. So this might be a good time to kind of train your body to know what to do. The other thing with the program is it's a place for you to kind of learn what works and what doesn't. I'm going to tell you and teach you a lot of things throughout the 5 weeks that have worked for me and certain things that haven't worked for me and certain things that I have had to work harder on and change. But most importantly, this gives you the opportunity to experiment. There is no one system because as you've learned and as we've taught you here at Innate, everybody's body is very different. So everybody's going to react and respond to things very differently. These 5 weeks are going to be your opportunity to learn what that really means. Most importantly though, it's a system and it's accountability. One too many of you do not honor your own word. If you wanted to have done something for your body, you would have already done it. But you haven't. There's a reason you're watching. It's super, super, super easy for us to just kind of brush off our own word and our own goal and our own commitment. But I am here to tell you, not this time. That is the whole purpose and point of this, is that accountability, is that certain level of someone else showing up to be your coach, to hold you accountable, to ask you questions, to push you, to challenge you, so that in those 35 days, you start to do things very differently. And if you think this is just going to be diet related, it's not. And if that's all you wanted, you're in for a really big surprise because we are going to talk about mindset. We are going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about water intake, all of the above. But you know, when I said mindset, that's probably going to be a big part of what we are going to do. Because there's something within our mindset, just with everything, that's going to determine if you are going to succeed or if you're going to turn around at the end of 35 days and kind of play a self-sabotaging game. So we're going to break down those stories too. And of course, we're going to do weekly check-ins and make sure that if we need to course correct, we do that. Because if we course correct every week, then we're going to be so much more successful at the end of those 5 weeks than if we waited 34 days and looked back and said, oh man, that sucked. That didn't work for me. So what does that all mean? First and foremost, what we're going to do is we are going to have a 15-minute consult, you and I, either this coming Monday or Tuesday if you're going to be at the office, or we are going to do a phone consult. Once you sign up, what we're going to do is I'm going to send you a list of questions. That's going to help kind of prep everything along for our consult. But most importantly, what I want to know within those questions, and you'll see, is what's your goal? Why do you want to do this program? What are you hoping to gain at the end of it? And what's been your struggle when it's come to your own body and your body goals? So if we identify those things now and we truly know what our facts are starting, our outcome is going to be a lot more fantastic than if we just kind of had a fuzzy target we were shooting at. So Monday or Tuesday, those times will all be arranged accordingly, of course, once we have everybody's signups in, or we're going to do a phone consult. The second thing it's going to entail is a private Facebook group. Now, in that private Facebook group, every single day I will be posting either a video, a meditation, some EFT, an affirmation, something very mindset heavy to help you kind of set your intention for the day and set your goal properly for what you want accomplished. We might break down some stories that come to play about like, oh, I've tried everything, it never works for me, all that stuff, you know. So that's something that I'm going to do. And then every single week, we are going to be checking in with what you did. You're basically going to tell me how your week went. You're going to tell me what your diet was like, exercise was like. Of course, I'll write all this stuff on the page, but every single week you're going to do a check-in, and then every single day after your check-in, I'm going to give you recommendations to go on to that next week so that every single week we do better. The other thing that we are going to include is you are going to get a 35-day supplement kind of pack. These are going to be beautiful pre-packaged morning and evening supplements that you are going to take. Once we have our consult, we'll know if you're going to do just a daily fundamentals pack, which is a very basic, fantastic support to the system, or if we're going to go a little deeper on an adrenal pack, if some of you need some deeper adrenal kind of healing. So that 35-day supplement package will be included in that as well. The other thing we are going to do is diet talk. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about intermittent fasting. You know that Dr. Chris and I, he's been fasting for about a year. I've been fasting for about half a year now. Intermittent fasting has probably made the biggest difference in energy, fat burning, getting to wear dresses and jeans I haven't worn in a really long time, but it's given my body a chance to just stop constantly digesting and a chance to start healing. It's shifted a lot in my digestion, of course. My sleep has been much better, and yeah, it just is really awesome. Now, some of you, I know, you don't drink coffee. I totally get it. You don't have to drink coffee in order to intermittent fast. So we will either talk the bulletproof protocol, the non-caffeinated protocol, or we're just going to talk about fasting in general. Because some of you might end up fasting with bone broth and never ever touch coffee or anything like that. Again, once we have our consult, we'll better determine this, but you are going to fast. Now, Dr. Chris and I fast on average at minimum about 6 days a week. We really shoot for fasting every single day. On days that we don't, good Lord, I feel like I get so much hungrier and I eat so much more food, so which is not my intention ever. But if you've never fasted before, I'm not going to ask you to fast all 7 days. I'm just not going to do it. If you want to work up to 7 days by the time we get to that last week, maybe, awesome. Make that a goal of yours. But just know that we're going to modify everything so that we are actually successful at it. Look, guys, the last thing I want is for you to be like 3 days in, to be like, this sucks, I feel terrible, I don't know what to eat, and just give up. So I also don't want you to, cut yourself some slack and cheat and eat terrible food, but I want to make sure that whatever we're doing is going to set you up for the most successful outcome at the end. Food-wise, we love ourselves some paleo, and so we are going to be very heavy Whole30. So each of you will get either an ebook, or I might actually have a printed version for you of the Whole30 cookbook. And I also have the It Starts With Food book, because there's just a relationship with food that we all have, and maybe some, mindset, something we have towards food. So that would be a fantastic read. And then the cookbook is a great way to just get really creative with cooking. One too many times people think diet is like 2 pieces of food. Like I can only eat plain chicken with maybe salt and pepper and then like a piece of broccoli, which is wrong. When you open up that Whole30 cookbook, you're going to see that there's some fantastic things to eat. So Whole30 is very paleo. It's very strict paleo. It's going to keep those sugars out as much as possible. And one of the most interesting things that I can't wait to see with each and every one of you is when your sugar breakup comes. What does that mean? So during Whole30, sometimes people get something called, that we kind of refer to as like a carb flu or like a fake flu. Your body just feels wrong. Like you feel like you're coming down with something, your energy is drained, but you don't really have a flu. It's not like you have a fever or anything like that. That is a massive turning point and an important point for your body, because that's when your breakup with sugar is happening. That's when your liver is working at its hardest and trying to figure out what is happening. I have to detox everything. That's when you're just about to turn a corner. So that is probably the best time to kind of throw your hands up and give a little cheer to yourself, because that's a big deal. Once you get to that point, the rest is going to be smooth sailing. So we will break down what Whole30 means. And just like fasting, if you've never done anything like Whole30, or if your diet is not starting off at the most healthiest place, I might not make you do Whole30 all 7 days of the week. We might start 1 week by doing every other day. We might start 1 week by doing 5 days. It doesn't matter what we do. It's the fact that we are going to start somewhere. Also, in that same realm comes the big old E word, which is exercise. I get it. Some of you haven't worked out since PE in 5th grade. Okay? It's okay. We will find a way to make something work. Ideally, I would love if you would move your body 10 to 15 minutes a day. Whether you go walking, whether you do strength training, whether you come here and you're standing on the plate, which we're going to talk about that in a minute as well, something. You want to move your body 10 to 15 minutes a day, break a sweat, do some squats at home. I don't care. But again, if you are a couch potato and all of a sudden I tell you, go do it, you've got 7 days, you're going to get on. No, you're just not going to do it. Like 2 days, you're going to be super into your exercising and then you're just going to quit. So we will figure out a program. I've got some online things and suggestions that I can give you. You know, I will always tell you to come join me at CrossFit, which is fantastic. If you really want to go, go big on this, you absolutely should. But we want to incorporate both a cardio and a strength portion to this, because we've got to not only get our cardiovascular system working fantastically, but we get to engage our muscles a little bit differently, because on top of fasting, that's going to then push your metabolism even more if we put those two things hand in hand. The next thing we're going to talk about is water. Don't worry if you're not taking notes. I promise I'll put all of this down below for you to see. But if you asked me how I do on my water intake, I would tell you that overall, I drink a good amount of water. I probably haven't kept track of how much water I drink in a really long time. But because this is going to be a big part of the challenge, I decided to do that this week. I have probably been drinking about, at minimum, about 100 ounces. Let me tell you, I feel so different. Last week, Friday, when I did my workout, it was the most awful workout I'd ever done in my life. I felt so tired and just so off. I'm pretty sure I was just dehydrated. Like, as much water as I drink, I think I was still super dehydrated. So even in the last 3 days that I have drank over 100 ounces of water, my energy's been through the roof. So we are going to keep track of that, and we're not just going to do plain water because some of you don't like water, I know. I am actually going to give each and every one of you, if you sign up by the weekend, we're going to do some essential oils. We're going to toss some fun essential oils in the water. My favorite to do is grapefruit. Grapefruit, is fantastic for boosting the metabolism up. It's got nice little citrus flavor, of course, but it really helps push those fat cells along. And I might even show you a couple ways to put it on your body. So water is going to be crucial for this. If you tell me you don't like water, we're going to have to figure something else out. Yes, you might be able to do some sparkling water, but not your full intake. So water, 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 and a ton of it. A couple other things that we will talk about are going to be, well, you're probably already getting adjusted. So you must keep up your adjustments, whatever your recommended schedule is, these 5 weeks. And on top of that, while you're here, what I'm going to have you do is make sure that you stand on the vibroplate that we have in the little room. That vibrating plate is going to be used for two purposes, two main purposes. One purpose of the vibrating plate is going to be to get lymph flow going. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. I had to fix something there. Lymph, your lymph and everything as we start to detox needs a place to go, especially with all that water that we're going to toss in there. So you're going to stand on the plate. We're going to set you on a certain protocol. And if you want that plate to be your exercise, let me know, because we have a whole exercise line that I can have you do on there too. Something with dumbbells, with a kettlebell. You can just do plain squats on there. It's amazing. But the plate is going to be a must when you're in here. If you want to up that a little bit more, dry brushing is going to be fantastic to do as well. I will post a video I've already done on dry brushing underneath, because my goal with body, again, it never just comes down to just the food. There are a lot of things that tie into what helps everything flush out and detox and clean and weight loss and energy and sleep and all of the above. And so I want to help you target as many areas as possible, and you can take on whatever you want to. You absolutely don't have to do you absolutely don't have to do all of them, but you got to do some of them. So we are going to definitely do some lymph talk in there. And then, yeah, you know, I just want this, I want the 35 for 35 to be something that is fun. I don't want it to be some boring diet that you do, which you already know. If you're working with me, it's not going to be boring. But it needs to be tailored to you. I want it to be custom to what you want, but we want to address a lot of different areas so that once we get to that day 34, we are so ready to rock the rest of it. Because when we're done, my goal is that you've got a system for yourself and some better tools on how to move forward. Because after 35 days, if you just drop everything and go back to the way things were, why? You know, what's the point? Someone was asking me last week about gluten, and as you guys know, I haven't had gluten since 2013. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when I see a really good piece of cake, I really want it. But how I felt on gluten and what my health was and how I was suffering then, never. I'll never go back to it. No piece of cake, because guess what? I can make a paleo cake and it'll taste 1,000 times better and I won't feel like crap. Will ever be worth what my health was back then. And the other thing is, if you kind of look at yourself and think, well, I don't really have those issues, there may be some things that you're missing. So let's talk about those things too, because as you've seen with health, sometimes those symptoms don't show up right away. It could be manifesting on your skin and you've never really made the connection that it's something digestive. It could be your sleep patterns and you've never really connected that it could be something with your gut as well, or your food or anything like that. Or it could simply be just mindset. So whatever it is, I really hope you join me on this lovely journey. It's 35 days. I will send the little Google form that we had down below. Yeah, sign up. Let's have a good time. We're going to start on the 19th again. If you do everything by the weekend, I will happily give you your grapefruit oil as a goodie, and maybe a couple other things. Who knows? By the time we start. And so fill everything out. Let me know what time you guys want to do your consults, and let's make the next 35 days starting on the 19th fantastic.